Hey guys, you asked for it. I've been talking about it. I finally got it together. The top 10 Olympia bikini prediction video. Here it is with the giveaways. I've been working with some sponsors and we have some great giveaways this year as well. So make sure to enter in the comments below so you can get these prizes. I'm going to go ahead and go into these prizes real quick of what you can enter, but we have some cool ones this year. A lot of people stepped up. So first one, Colt Fitness, $200 cash. They're just going to send you $200 cash. They're just going to do it. Just send it with 3-month membership if you're local to Las Vegas, of course. We also have shoes from the Shoe Fairy. They stepped up. We have two suits, so two posing suits from Angel Competition bikinis that'll be shipped out to you. And we also have a really cool prize this year. I think it's a cool prize. I'm going to be doing it with Ashley, where you can come out to Vegas. We're going to fly you out to Vegas, and you're going to train with me and Ashley in a training session. We're going to do some type of training. You could probably choose what training you want. We'll go over it before you get here, of course, but I want you to learn, want you to experience it and have a good time. And I thought it would be a great prize for one of our viewers. Now, the grand prize, this is going to be the grand prize if you can do it, okay? I'm going to do $5,000 cash if you can guess 1 through 10 in order. I really hope someone gets it. I'm ready to pay it out if you guys can do it 1 through 10 in order, and I'm going to give you some clues. I think this year I'm going to get 70% of them right. We'll see. We'll see. But last year people got close, and I'm wanting you guys to win some of these prizes. I wanted to do another prize where we flew you out to Vegas for the Olympia, and then paid for your tickets for the Olympia and hotel. But I don't know. There's some rumors that it might not be in Vegas next year, and if it's in Dubai or something, who knows where this thing could be. I'm not going to be flying people to Dubai, so I don't know how much it costs out there. So I kind of threw off my. I was waiting to hear some things. Also waiting to hear if any specific competitors weren't going to be competing and were going to be competing. One of them being Jennifer Dory. So we found out she's not going to be competing this year now, and so that helped me put my list together. So sorry for this one's a little bit delayed. Now, what do you do? What do you need to do to win these prizes? You have to like their Instagram. You have to like it or follow their Instagram account. Okay, so Colt Fitness, the Shoe Fairy, Angel Competition bikinis, and of course Team Elite Physique. You have to follow their Instagram account, and then when you enter your top 10, I need you to also include your Instagram account. I've had a couple winners who didn't include. I couldn't get in contact with them. They just left a comment, and there's no way to contact you via YouTube. So we need you to do that to be entered in the prizes. Make sure you follow them, or else if you get top 10 and you're not following them, then sorry, you don't win the prize. There's no going back on it. The other rules will be in the description below. And with that, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So without a doubt, finding who gets in that top 10 cutoff was the most difficult. We have 71 bikini competitors this year. It's crazy. Honestly, I think even next year we're still going to have somewhere in the 45 range with how the system is set up. It's going to be much better, but still going to be a lot of competitors. But finding the top 10 was very difficult. And, I'm going to give you guys a range, kind of who I think could get in the top 10. Of course, who I think will be the top 10. But there's also going to be some people, I guess honorable mentions we'll call it, who could definitely be in there. So and when I'm looking at these honorable mentions and people who could be in there, there's a lot of arguments for it. We have Jordan Brandon, who could easily be in the top 10. She could easily be in the top 8. Earlier this year, she wasn't doing, so hot. She got an 8th place, a 4th place, a 3rd place, an 8th place, a 3rd place. And then all of a sudden, she's turned it up and she won 2 shows back to back, winning the San Antonio Pro and winning the Daytona Pro. And she's on fire right now. And she's been a top 15 competitor before at the Olympia. Can she get to the top 8 with how she's running right now? Easily. Maybe even in the top 6. Who knows? So that's someone that could definitely be there. She could also be, in the top 15, somewhere in the 14th, 13th place. We have another competitor too that I wanted to mention, which is Brittany Gillespie. I know that we've talked about Brittany Gillespie a lot, and this year she's had, she's been placing a lot. She had a 6th place, 4th place, 2nd place, 3rd place, 5th place, 4th place, 2nd place, and then ended up winning the Texas Pro. Why do I mention her as a top 10 potentially? Well, it's because of who she beat at the Texas Pro. She beat Jourdain, who's been a top 10 competitor for the last couple years. I believe if I remember correctly, she was like 12th 3 years ago, then 11th, then 10th, then 9th, something like that, something around those ranges. And she's just been moving up one spot every year. And so this year, is Brittany Gillespie with beating out Jourdain, does she move into the top 8 since Jourdain's a top 10 competitor? Or was it just wasn't Jourdain's day that day and she was a little bit off? Jourdain came and won the next show to get into the Olympia. So based on this year, you have to give it to Brittany over Jourdain, right? But based on history, you got to give it to Jourdain. So it's kind of one of those things. Will Brittany get it into the top 10? I don't think it would be a surprise if Brittany got into the top 10 with recently beating Jourdain. But looking at the history of this year, I think it'd be more likely she'd be somewhere in that 14th, 15th spot ranking. Now, who do I have in the top 10 as a number 10 spot? Well, this one's going to be a little controversial, and this is going to be very difficult. This is going to be, the top 10 is a difficult thing to pick. That's why we're doing these giveaways. If you can be who is it? The mind reader, the card reader that's going to figure out the top 10. I think with the improvements that she's made this year, I think Ariana Brothers can actually be in the top 10. Remember, she's been in the top 10 in Olympia before, and now she's bringing a better physique. She's making improvements. She's getting back to where she was before, maybe improved now too. Can she make the necessary improvements and get into the top 10? I think it's possible. Now, if we look at the Arnold, there's going to be a lot of arguments against that, right? Because Ariana placed under Maria, Ashlyn, Amy, and Vanya, a lot of those who are on this list. But I do think with the improvements that she's made, that her locking up that 10th spot is very realistic. But again, Jourdain could knock her out of that. Brittany could knock her out of that. Jordan Brandon could knock her out of that. Someone like Alice Rocha could knock her out of that. Last year we had the surprise with Jazzy, getting in that top 3. Anything can happen at the Olympia, but that is going to be my prediction. But the 10th place is honestly more of a range this year than it is an actual. This is who I think for sure is going to be top 10. There's just so many competitors, And then going into that 9th spot, you guys probably predicted it. I have Jourdain. Now Jourdain is also someone who can surprise us like Jazzy last year and end up in that top 5. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw her somewhere in that 5th spot, 6th spot, something like that. But her losing to Brittany just recently makes me think maybe closer to that 9th spot or so. I would actually probably have her at 10th if Issa was competing this year. But without Issa competing this year, without Jennifer competing this year, I think she's going to move up a couple spots, maybe even into that 8th spot. So that's going to be my prediction for the 9th spot. What does she need to do to move up even higher? Well, it's just about density for Jourdain. If she just has a little bit more density and fullness to that upper glute, I think that she's right there with everyone. I think a little bit of fullness and roundness to that hamstring. Is there going to be enough time to get that fullness and roundness to that hamstring in this time frame? I don't necessarily know. I'm curious of how or why she lost to Brittany Gillespie just recently. Brittany Gillespie, I still think is one of the better physiques in the IFBB. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot of density. It's a lot of wow factor. In a show like the Olympia, where there's a lot of wow factor in the entire lineup, she doesn't stick out as much. I think Brittany can potentially catch the judge's eye this year, especially with going in with the momentum of beating Jourdain and be in that potential top 10 mix. I think the odds are more likely at a show like the Olympia versus a regular show where she kind of stands out for being maybe overly muscular. But she's not going to really be overly muscular, overly dense around a bunch of very muscular, very dense athletes. So it's kind of a different scenario. So I'm very curious about where she's going to end up. I would be surprised if it wasn't in the top 15. And based on the history, I know a lot of people are going to be like, why do you think so high? Based on, she's getting an 8th at these other shows that are smaller shows. It's just based on the competition around her. She's not going to stand out so much. She's going to look the part along with all these other top level athletes. So moving on to that number 8 spot of who, and again, these are all going to be ranges in these competitors. They're all so good that you can kind of interchange them from 3rd place to 10th place. They're all so good. So it sucks that you have to pick someone. You kind of have to like nitpick and just kind of go with history and looking at all the shows and how they did and go into it from there. Now, coming in at that 8th spot, I have Maria Acosta. Now, Maria, honestly, there's not a lot to work on her physique. There's really not. I'm looking at her physique and I'm trying to find areas where she can really make huge improvements, and there's not a lot of room. Her physique is pretty maxed out. It looks incredible. These tie-ins on her, some of the best tie-ins in the game. Literally like some of the best tie-ins in the IFBB. Now, at that level, when we get to the Olympia, are they going to be too sharp? Are they going to be too much? I don't know. The only thing about Maria, too, I think that if, it just comes down to her genetic structure. I think her waistline, when you're next to someone like an Ashlyn who has like no waistline from the side, she's going to naturally make you look like a little bit wider waisted. When you have someone next to like Amy who's got a tiny waistline, genetics come into this, structure comes into this, and I think that that's where she's kind of at her max, because when you get next to these girls who have no waist, it's, you just naturally look like you have a bigger waist, even if you don't have a bigger waist, which in person she does not. She looks like a tiny waist, but you got to remember, these are genetic freaks we're looking at. When you're next to someone with no waist, you look like you have a little bit bigger of a waist, right? And I think that's the only thing structurally that kind of hurts her, because you look everywhere else and there's really nothing that really works. She's done an incredible job with her physique. So, can she move up? Absolutely. Can she be higher than eighth place? Absolutely. I'm also using history of the recent Arnold, where she ended up getting in fourth place next to Ashlyn and Amy. So, you know, that's you get to go with what has been happening this year, and based on that, these are going to be the same judges that are going to be at that show. So it's just likely going to be the scenario. It's not like Maria was really off or anything, and she ended up with a perfect score for fourth place. So it doesn't seem likely that she's going to be able to catch that extra room past Ashlyn, past Amy, past Vanya at this show with the same judges in that time frame. Now, in seventh place is probably going to be my most controversial one, and it's almost like I don't even really want to talk about it. But this is, hey, I gotta give a realistic, I got to be honest with it and realistic, but I do think that in seventh place is probably going to be Maureen. Now, yeah, everyone's going to give me hate for that one. I love Maureen. She is so nice. She's someone I would call a friend. Um, but just looking at the history of this year, of how things went at Pittsburgh, how her physique has been looking, how little she's been competing, it's hard to nail it when you just come back for one show throughout the year. She did Pittsburgh, and then now she's doing the Olympia. It just, to me, based on momentum, based on people who beat her at Pittsburgh and how she was looking at Pittsburgh, I do think that she's going to be somewhere around that placing. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see Maureen with another Olympia title. I think she's great for the sport, and I love how she handles the sport with her mindset of the sport. But when we look at the overall density of her glutes and the sharpness of her physique and the physiques that are coming now with the level of sharpness and the level of density, I just think that she needs a little bit more pop to be another Olympia winner. When we have Laura Lee as the current champion looking the way she does, as sharp as she is with her glutes being where they're at, and Ashley as second, I do think that Maureen just needs a little bit more hardness, a little bit more fullness, and more density to win another one. I hope I'm wrong on that. I love Maureen's physique. I think that it has beautiful flow. She has that pretty muscle I like to talk about, where her skin just shines. She has great, her structure is just incredible. Everything is put together really, really nicely. But there's some powerful, powerful girls here at that top, and they do make her look a little bit softer, a little bit less dense, and a little bit smaller, when we look at someone like Jazzy. So going into sixth place, and this is going to be another controversial one, but I do have Jazzy. Now, how do you take someone who just got third place at the Olympia last year to get sixth place at this Olympia? Well, it just really comes down to the Arnold. She got sixth place behind Ariana, behind Maria, behind Ashlyn, behind Amy, and of course behind Vanya. So remember, this was just in March, and we have the same judges on the judging panel. Now, was this just Jazzy being off? Was she just off at the Arnold? Looking at her physique, she doesn't look that off to me. I do think her shoulders are a little shouldery. Her shoulders are definitely shouldering, but she doesn't look like she was that off to me. So it comes down to consistency. Which Jazzy are we going to see? Are we going to see the Olympia Jazzy? Are we going to see the Arnold Jazzy? And what are the judges going to go with if they do see the Arnold Jazzy? Is it because it's the Olympia and they're going to allow a more muscular physique because she doesn't stand out so much? I don't think so, because the Arnold is pretty much the same thing. The competitors there, they're pretty much the same thing, minus Ashley, minus Laura Lee this year. They're pretty much the same people, right? So that's why I have her there. I hope I'm wrong on that one as well. As you can see, this is very difficult. And I've been kind of hesitant on doing this video because there's always There's always someone you're like, man, I don't even want to say that I think she's gonna get in that placing, but kind of do. I got to go with who I think. Now in fifth place, and on this one, this is another one I kind of hope I'm wrong about. This is fifth place. I have Ashlyn Little. Now, I put this list together before I've been seeing update pictures of Ashlyn as of lately. We're a couple weeks out from the Olympia now. What are we? Gosh, 10 days out from the Olympia now. And her physique looks crazy right now. I gotta admit, her physique looks nuts. Her waistline is like completely gone. I mean, she looks crazy. It's definitely the best Ashlyn that we've ever seen. Is it enough to win an Olympia title? I don't know about that. Is it enough to be top three? I think so. If we look at Jazzy getting in the top three last year, and you're looking at Ashlyn now, I don't think it'd be much of a surprise if she did end up in that top three. Now, I have to go based on history of what's happened this year at the shows. She lost to Amy, she lost to Vanya. She did beat out Maria at the Arnold. So I'm gonna put her in that fifth spot. Can she be up higher? Absolutely. She looks crazy right now. I don't think there's really a lot to work on her physique. I mean, really, her physique is, there's just not, it's one of those things, there's not a lot to work on at this point. I mean, it's been years and years, there's not a lot to fine tune. If I'm looking at anything and being very, very particular on her physique, I would like to see just a tiny bit more hamstring fullness. In the glute profile from the front, I think that she could use a tiny bit more upper glute profile and a tiny bit more roundness of that hamstring from the front. But it's not like it is needed. It's kind of like one of those things. Yeah, if she had a little bit more, it might be better. But it's not like, oh, you need this to win. I wouldn't be surprised if she won. It's just a matter of, to be absolutely complete and compete against someone like Laura Lee with that fullness, or Ashley's hamstrings, that type of fullness. Yeah, you could probably have a little bit more pop in that front to match that. Now, in fourth place, another one is going to be controversial, which again, I hope I'm wrong about. Again, there's like so many of these people I'm like hoping the best for, is going to be Amy Delgado, right? Fourth place. Why do I say fourth place? Again, going off of the Arnold placing. This one's kind of weird though, because so Amy lost to Vanya at the Arnold. The weirdness of it is when I saw Amy at the Arnold, I honestly thought it was lights out. I didn't think anyone was touching Amy that day. That Amy was like the best Amy I've seen in a couple years, probably. Like, yeah, I probably since like Pittsburgh of like a couple years ago. She she looked crazy good. I mean, there was really like honestly, okay, I saw that and I was like, okay, perfect score, game over. Like how she got beat looking like that is crazy to me. But also, here's the other weird part about it. Last year at the Olympia, I didn't think she looked. I thought she looked honestly probably like the worst of her whole season. I mean, her tie-ins weren't the way that they usually are. She just didn't have the same pop that she normally does. She was just off at like last year's Olympia, in my opinion. Compared, not like off, but compared to her usual best. It just wasn't her physique. So that's the thing. We got to remember too, when the Olympia comes up, a lot of things happen with people, and a lot of people just don't bring their best to the Olympia because of the stress of the show. The more often you do it, like the more years you do it, the more normal it becomes. And I think that stress is going to translate to your physique on stage. We got to remember, Laura Lee's currently the champion, but how many times was she just a little bit off at the Olympia? And we're like, as soon as she's on, she's going to win it. As soon as she's on, she's going to win it. But she was always just a little off. And now, I think at a certain point, she's been doing it for so long. Now it's just like, oh, it's the Olympia, it's still a big deal, but it's not like freaking you out like the way it was before. You're sleeping at night. You're not stressed. You're not putting so much weight onto it because you've placed all over the place. You've gotten second, you've gotten fourth. You're like, if I get fourth again, fifth again, cool, but if I win, that'd be cool too. And you just start not putting so much weight on it, and then it just becomes normal. Your body starts reacting and coming the way that you would at a normal show where you're sleeping good and you're not stressed out about it. Is that what's going on with Amy? I don't know. I don't know her on a level like that where I don't know how she stresses at shows. What I can say is I haven't seen her look her best at the Olympia. Now here's the thing: she looked I think her best at the Arnold, but she still lost to Vanya. And then I think she didn't look her best last year at the Olympia, and she still got fourth place. So what does that mean? If that means as if she looks like she did at the Arnold, where I think she looked her best, she wins the Olympia because she got fourth last year at the Olympia when I thought she looked her worst? I don't know really what that means, right? Someone help me in the comments there because I'm confused on that one. All I know is she's very capable of winning the Olympia. No one would be surprised if she did. How is she going to show up at the Olympia? If she shows up her best, is that enough now? I mean, you have three people stopping her, right, from doing it. We have Vanya now in the mix. We still have Jazzy from last year in the mix stopping her. We have Ashlyn that potentially could too. What what happens in that top five, right? What actually happens in that top five? Especially what happens if Amy shows up? Kind of crazy, right? I don't know. I honestly have no clue. I have no clue. I'm so lost on this one. So that's where I have her now based on this year and last year's placings. I think it's fair. Could be way off. Could be way off. Now, in third place, which I don't think is going to surprise anyone, is going to be Vanya. Okay, why am I giving Vanya such a big bump to third place? I mean, let's look at her history this year, guys. I mean, she won the Arnold UK and the Arnold Ohio, right? She won the Arnold Classic. So, Miss Bikini International, she has, if you're going to call something momentum, she has momentum this year, guys. I mean, you can't really have more momentum than beating out Amy at the most important show other than the Olympia this year, can you? So, yeah, I mean, if Vanya shows up exactly like she did at the Arnold, I think worst case scenario is third, honestly. I mean, who bumps her out, right? She beat Jazzy. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that there's another spot for her, really. I mean, if Ashlyn shows up 100%, Ashlyn's in that top five, maybe bumps down Amy to fourth, to fifth, and Ashlyn gets in that fourth spot. But still, it's still going to be hard to beat Vanya, considering that they just had all of them in front of the same judges, and they went with Vanya when Vanya was 100%. Now, of course, Vanya has to be 100%, but yeah, I don't see a way that Vanya isn't third or better. And I'm saying third or better because better is definitely a possibility with the type of momentum that Vanya has this year. So again, someone who could even, would anyone be surprised if she won the Olympia? Would everyone be like shocked? I don't think anyone would be shocked. I don't think anyone would be shocked if any of the top five girls that I've mentioned so far would win the Olympia. It'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. Ashlyn won it. Whoa, that's crazy. Vanya won it. But wouldn't be like so out there where it was just some like random person that won it. Everyone would be like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like she looks good. She's been doing good for years. She's always been right there. You know, one of those scenarios. But that's where I have it. Now, obviously, I have myself a situation with being Ashley's coach and her being number two. And then I have the last two on the list is Ashley and Laura Lee. So I'm not going to pick a number two and a number one because one, if I picked Ashley as number one, that'd be extremely biased. And oh yeah, of course she's going to beat her. You're her coach. Of course you have to say that, right? It'd be like I have to say it. So I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. You guys pick who you think is going to be number one and number two. Is it going to be Laura Lee's year again? Has Ashley done enough to beat out Laura Lee? Well, here's the thing, guys. Last year, the judges, they really didn't say there's much to work on. They said pretty much, you know, wasn't your day that day? Don't change anything. They said, if anything, maybe you could use a little bit more leg. It might help you if you had a little bit more leg, considering Laura Lee is so muscular in the legs. But honestly, you don't really need it. It just wasn't your day that day. It was Laura Lee's day that day. That's really what they said. They really didn't say like you need to change anything to win. They said you could win just like that. It just wasn't your day. That's like that was the feedback. It was not like oh oh yeah, Laura Lee just completely just there's no chance against her. It was like, nah, you guys were close. We talked about it, thought Laura Lee looked a little better. It is what it is. You know, it was one of those things. So Ashley can use a little bit more development in the leg, maybe. Ashley does that. She has that now. She looks awesome. She's a little bit fuller this year than she's been in years prior, but not a lot. You wouldn't want to change when your feedback from the judges is don't change anything. You don't change anything. You don't really do that. Now, they asked for a little bit more leg. Yeah, we got a little bit more leg, a little bit more fullness this year, but we're talking a couple percent. Is it enough to dethrone the champion? Maybe. If Laura Lee's 100%, is it going to be likely that she beats Laura Lee this year? If Laura Lee's 100% and they both made the same amount of improvements, it would be unlikely to recapture that, right? But who knows? Laura Lee also has to be 100%. Things can happen over the day. Now, Laura Lee has her flaws. her upper glute density still isn't, well, I don't know if still isn't, it wasn't last year. She was very bottom heavy in her glutes. You could see that kind of when she walks. Her glutes are very bottom heavy, doesn't have that upper glute density and fullness, and overall development is lacking in that upper outer edges of her glutes. But she has really great hips. Her hips are really wide set, and it makes her waist to hip ratio just absolutely insane. And that's one of the things that really sets her apart. So it kind of comes down to a balance thing for Ashley. Ashley's better balanced than Laura Lee. Has a little bit this year, has a little bit more development than last year, versus Laura Lee being very well put together with a better hip to waist ratio. What do you and needs more glute development in that upper area, has that one hole. What do you go with? Is it apples and oranges scenario? Who do you like? Who do you prefer? So, it's one of those things. It could be anyone's day. And the thing is about the Olympia, it could be easily Laura Lee could be first place. She could easily be fifth place too this year at the Olympia. Same with Ashley. That's the volatility of the Olympia. We've seen it before. Like we've seen it when, a good example would be when you're looking at these athletes that are competing, like when they win the Olympia, a year later they can come back and get fourth place. That's happened to so many athletes before, where they would like win the Olympia, come back get fourth place. Janet ended up, I think, at seventh place one time. I think Issa came back and was like fourth. So you just never know. Just because you won doesn't necessarily mean you're top two the next year. Just because you're second doesn't mean you're top two the next year. The game changes every year. People look better every year. The competition gets tougher every year. One thing I'll say is we don't have a breakout star this year who was like a new pro who came in and just like caused all this ruckus and was winning all these shows. There's not really, you don't really see that girl. There hasn't been that girl for a long time. I think bikini is just too muscular and too hard these days to just instantly be that girl. Like when you look at, history when bikini was a little smaller, you did see that happen more often. But now it's not, I think it just takes years to develop that physique. So you're just not seeing that breakout star in their first pro year. I think you'll see that in Fit Model, which will be really exciting to see next year. But I think that I feel pretty confident about this top 10. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, make sure to answer, you have to put your top 10 in. Put your top 10 in order that you think it'll be. Here's the thing, guys. It cannot be an edited comment. It has to be, you put it up once and that's it. It can't be edited because I can't verify when it was edited after thing, but it'll show as an edited comment. So make sure to get your pick in right. You could only enter one time. Some of these prizes will be for U.S. citizens in the 48 states only, just due to shipping and stuff. And that's pretty much it. Now make sure to like all these accounts. And that's pretty much it, guys. As always, TeamElitePhysique.com for worldwide online contest prep with me. I hope to hear from you guys. I hope to see you guys at the Olympia. I'm very excited, very nervous for this year, as always. I will be at the expos. Make sure to say hi. I really want to meet a bunch of you. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sorry, this one was a little bit later than I originally said. I'm still trying to figure out, is the Olympia being moved? Does anyone know this? Also, guys, make sure you get that live stream. I want to give a shout out to the Olympia team and Jake Wood and Dan Solomon and these guys. They're putting on this show is such a monumental task, and they are funding so many athletes to get to this show. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but if you get to the Olympia, they pay for you to go there. Like they pay for you to fly in, they pay for your room, they give you all this stuff, track suits, all this stuff. They really take care of the athletes, a daily stipend for while you're out here. I mean, it's a lot of people. I mean, there's a ton of people. Just bikini alone is 71 people. So if you can, guys, support it. Watch the live stream, buy the live stream. The live stream link will be in the description below. And yeah, we'll just kind of go from here, guys. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you soon.